Leaving Cert Higher Level 2019, Paper 2, Question 1. So this one starts off by saying a class consists of 12 boys and 8 girls. So the first part says 2 students are selected at random from the class. What is the probability that the 2 students selected would be a boy and a girl in any order? So there are 2 orders that can happen in, so we need to take into account both. So what we'll say here then is the probability of selecting a boy and a girl in any order. Well, it's going to equal the probability of selecting a boy and then a girl plus then the probability of selecting a girl followed by a boy. So there are the 2 orders that can happen in, so we're going to work out each of these individually. So the probability of selecting a boy, well, there are 12 boys in the class out of 20 students, so the probability that the first student you select as a boy is going to be 12 over 20. Then we need to select a girl, so it's going to be and, so it's going to be multiplied by then. And there are 8 girls out of the rest of the students, and the rest of the students, that amounts to 19 of them. Alright, so then we're going to say here plus the probability then of selecting a girl first is going to be 8 over the total number being 20, multiplied then by the probability of selecting a boy. So there are 12 boys out of 19 students left in that situation. So then it's a case of just working each of these out and then adding them. So yeah, so then when you multiply fractions, this can be simplified, but when you're multiplying fractions, it's a case of just multiplying 2 tops over 2 bottoms, so it's going to be 96 over then 380 plus, again, this is going to be the same thing over here, it's going to be 96 over then 380. So each of those simplifies to, I'm going to simplify to 24 over 95. So that's 24 95ths plus over here 24 95ths. So 24 95ths plus 24 95ths is going to be 48 95ths. Okay, so that's that part done. And the second part says 4 students are selected one at a time at random from the class. It says what is the probability that the first 3 students selected will be boys and the 4th will be a girl? Okay, so we're looking for the probability then of selecting a boy, then a boy, then a boy, and then a girl. Right, so let's work this out. So this is going to equal then, so again we'll have 12 boys in the class out of a total of 20 students, so the probability that the first student is a boy has to then be 12 over 20, and then we need another boy, so it's going to be then there's 11 boys left out of a total of 19 students, and then we need another boy, so it's going to be 10 over then 18, and then we need a girl, so it's going to be and, so multiplied by, so there are 8 girls in the class, but there's only 17 students left, so it's going to be 8 over 17. So that can be typed into the calculator in one go. So when you type all that in, let's see what we get here. Okay, so when you type all that in, you should get this as a fraction. It's going to end up being 88 over 969. Alright, and that's it done. That's that part done. Now, in part B of the question, it says an examination paper is made up of two sections, section A consisting of 7 questions and section B consisting of 8. The paper contains the following instructions. So, from section A, you must answer question 1 and any 3 other questions. From section B, you must also answer any 4 questions. And it wants us here to find out how many different combinations of questions may be answered if a candidate follows this instruction. So the key word there is combinations. So let's say the questions were numbered 1 to 7 in section A, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and so on in section B. So we must answer question 1 from section A, but then we can choose the rest of the questions from section A, as long as you do any 3. So you could choose questions 1, 2, 3 and 4, or you could go with 1, 2, 3 and 5, or 1, 2, 3 and 6, or 1, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 4, 5 and 7. But if you just decided to choose 1, 7, 5 and 4, that's the same choice as 1, 4, 5 and 7, so the order doesn't matter. That's why the word combinations is key here. So it's going to be N choose R rather than NPR here. So in section A we must select, we've only got 3 choices from section A. There's a total of 7 questions, but we must answer question 1. So really we're choosing from 6 questions from section A. So from section A, we've got 6 choices and we've got to pick 3 questions. So the number of ways that can be done is going to be what we call 6 choose 3 or 6C3, written like that. That's one way of writing it. And then from section B then, we can pick any 4 questions, and there's 8 questions in section B, so the number of ways we can select 4 from section B is going to be then 8 choose 4. Now the question is then whether you add these together or multiply them, and the answer to that is you're going to be multiplying them. I'll explain why now in a second. So 6 choose 3, if you put that into the calculator, you're going to get then 20. And then if you put 8 choose 4 into the calculator, you're going to get 70. And the reason we multiply here is because that's the number of ways we can pick our questions from section A. That's the number of ways we can pick our questions from section B. But if I decide to go with questions 1, 2, 3 and 4 from section A, I've got 70 different ways of selecting my 4 questions from section B, just when I'm picking 1, 2, 3 and 4 from section A. But then if I decide to go with questions 1, 2, 3 and 5 from section A, I've again got 70 choices for that combination from section A. And then if I change the questions again in section A, I've got another 70 different ways I can select my questions from section B. So that's the reason we multiply them. For every way of picking your questions from section A, you've got this many ways of picking them from section B. So that is going to end up being 1,400. That's the total number of ways you can pick your questions from this examination paper. And that is question 1 completed.